Samuel Bennett sat at his kitchen table, the kind of table that had witnessed more overdue bills than breakfast conversations. And let me tell you, this morning wasn't shaping up to be any different. The sunlight reluctantly seeped through the blinds, casting long shadows across a mountain of paperwork, more a monument to his frustrations than anything useful. At 42, Samuel should have been one of those men who'd already made it, the type who commands attention the moment he enters a room. Not because people wanted to, but because they had no choice. But life? Life doesn't care about your plans, your titles, or how hard you've worked. It has this nasty habit of hurling bricks at you right when you think you've figured it all out. Samuel stared down at the papers, each page mocking him with its fine print and bureaucratic complexities. It wasn't that he couldn't decipher them. Hell, he could recite financial statements in his sleep, but today it felt heavier, personal. Maybe it was the stress of managing a massive enterprise. Maybe it was the persistent realization that, no matter how high he climbed, the world always found ways to remind him of his origins. And where was that? Southside Philadelphia, a place where dreams either sprouted fangs or got devoured whole. Samuel hadn't been born with privilege, not silver spoons, not even plastic ones. His father pulled double shifts at a textile factory until he was fired for daring to speak out about unsafe conditions. "You've got to be 10 times better," his father would often remind him, words etched permanently in Samuel's mind. Not twice, 10 times, because they'll never let you forget who you are. Samuel took those words to heart, clawing his way out through scholarships, internships, and sleepless nights. He transformed himself into a man impossible to overlook. Yet, here he was, 2 decades later, confronted with a stark reminder that the world relished dragging you down, no matter how far you'd climbed. But Samuel wasn't about to let that happen today. He had a plan. You see, Samuel had a peculiar habit of occasionally going undercover. No suits, no ties, no chauffeured vehicles waiting. Just Samuel in a battered leather jacket and faded jeans. It kept him grounded, showed him reality unfiltered. Today he had chosen a downtown branch of his bank, a polished facade with a reputation for mistreating customers. Complaints of long wait times, dismissive attitudes, and even blatant discrimination had reached his ears. He couldn't ignore this. Samuel grabbed his wallet, keys, and an old baseball cap, heading out the door without fanfare. He didn't anticipate much, perhaps some raised eyebrows or mild impatience. But what awaited him was far worse. Entering the bank felt like hitting an invisible wall, a cold, indifferent space, sleek with marble floors but chillier than a morgue. The mostly white staff barely acknowledged him. Samuel approached the counter cautiously, keeping his head low. He wasn't there for a scene, just an observation. Behind the counter stood a man named Rick, mid-30s, exuding arrogance as if he'd peaked in high school and was bitter about it. Samuel sensed trouble immediately. "Can I help you?" Rick asked, voice dripping disdain. "Yes," Samuel responded calmly. "I'd like to withdraw $5,000 from my account." Rick raised an eyebrow, skeptically. "ID." Samuel handed over his driver's license and bank card. Rick took them deliberately slowly. "Account number?" Rick questioned suspiciously. Samuel provided it patiently. After a lengthy pause, Rick frowned. "We can't do that," he finally replied. "Excuse me." Samuel's voice was dangerously calm. "We don't keep that kind of cash here." Rick shrugged dismissively. "You need a request and verification. Certain things, you know." Samuel's jaw clenched. "Certain things?" Rick smirked unpleasantly. "Like proving the funds are legitimate." The insult hit Samuel deeply, a painful reminder of every barrier he'd faced, every humiliation endured. Yet he controlled himself. "Check again," Samuel said icily. Rick dramatically sighed. "Even if we had the cash, which we don't, you'd need additional documentation to prove you're not, you know." Samuel's jaw tightened further. "No, I don't know. Enlighten me." Rick leaned in, whispering conspiratorially. "We have policies. Gotta ensure everything checks out." Samuel's patience snapped. "I asked for my money, not an interrogation." Rick's arrogance flared. It's not personal, but some people try to game the system. You're accusing me of stealing my own money? Samuel's voice was razor sharp. I didn't say that, but people like me? Finish it, Samuel challenged coldly. Rick hesitated briefly before doubling down. We've got rules, and people like you don't fit the profile. Silence filled the room. Customers watched tensely. Samuel smiled dangerously. You'll process my withdrawal now, or I'll involve corporate. Rick faltered momentarily, but regained arrogance. Call anyone you like. Without documentation, you're not getting sent. Samuel laughed, humorless and sharp, then took out his phone. Rick shifted nervously. Samuel dialed and spoke firmly. Give me the regional manager. Rick's arrogance crumbled as realization dawned. Samuel calmly ended the call, then turned coldly to Rick. Now, you'll check again properly. Rick, visibly uneasy, typed shakily. His eyes widened in panic. There's a note on your account. Large withdrawals must be referred to management. Samuel smirked. Yet you denied me without following protocol? Rick froze, speechless, looking humiliated. Just then, regional manager Ethan Harris rushed in, recognizing Samuel instantly. Mr. Bennett, I didn't realize you were visiting today. Samuel fixed Ethan with a piercing gaze. Clearly, your staff requires retraining. Ethan paled. I'll handle this personally. Samuel raised his voice firmly. You're going to audit this branch thoroughly. Every employee, every policy, every transaction, directly reporting to me. Yes, sir, Ethan stammered. Samuel turned back to Rick. He's fired, effective immediately. He then addressed the customers, voice firm and confident. I'm Samuel Bennett, and I don't just bank here. I own this place. Gasps erupted. Samuel continued, serious now. This isn't about money. It's about respect, ensuring everyone is treated fairly, no matter who they are. Ethan quickly handed Samuel the requested handbook and logs. Samuel held them up. Rules mean nothing if those enforcing them are flawed. Applause broke out. Samuel quieted them, looking around gravely. This branch has failed you, repeatedly, and it ends now. Turning to Ethan again, Samuel warned, handle this, or next time it won't just be a warning. Samuel Bennett exited, leaving behind stunned silence. Everyone knew they'd witnessed something profound. The day a CEO they hadn't recognized walked in and changed everything.